our young adults, our young students, our children, right? Like you have children who are in this space to walk into this new job market?
Yep. That's a great question. I think the AI is going to change. You guys have been reporting on this for years. It's going to shift, the job landscape significantly. But the one thing that we all know that AI can't do is that it can't verify that the results are 100% right. So it's going to require people that have, analytics skills and data science skills and really industry knowledge. For example, there are people who work in the medical field, so to speak, and they have they know what the data means. AI and computers are just basically machines that process information based on how they're programmed, but they can't, to this point, create meaning around that. And that's where the real opportunities are going to be. My degree was in computer science, and I took AI back in, the early 80s on a program called Lisp. But, there wasn't processing speed. There wasn't enough data to basically leveraging it. Now, I have a buddy whose son that wants to go to Howard, and he's looking to major in computer science. He got accepted there. And I says, you might want to shift that really more to data science, more to, something related around analytics, because AI is programming better than the best coders out there, right? So there's no purpose in really having coders. You need people that can disseminate the data. In fact, that's exactly what my son is doing. He's going into medical informatics and getting a master's in that area. The other areas, like I said, healthcare is going to be strong. AI is going to enable, healthcare to another level, but you still need nurses. You still need caregivers, people in that space as well. Another thing that people don't think about is construction management. There's still going to be a need to construct and build things. AI is going to help in terms of, project management and being able to predict when you can get things done. And also, you guys talk a lot about real estate. AI is not going to really, it's not going to buy an apartment building. So it's still going to take owners, and people are going to still need a place to live. So there's a few things that people should kind of focus or look into, but they should really focus on the data side of things.
One of the things I get a lot of pushback on is when I tell people you got to take 25% or 50% of your money and put it away into the market. It's one thing we really have always connected on. Can you talk to the men about why that's important? Maybe taking a half a decade or a decade to do so?
Yeah, it's so huge that, that 25%. I mean, here's the best way to describe it, Ian. If you put 10% of your income in the market and you put 10% of your market for a 43-year career, right? Now you basically have, 10% times times a career of 43 years would probably have you at about 4 years in retirement, 4.3 years of retired. Now you add compounding to it. Now maybe you got 8 to 10 years. That's just not enough.
Yeah.
Right? You need about 25 times your desired salary to have enough money to retire, assuming you're going to use the 4% rule. So,
okay, can you give that math again for those who didn't catch it?
So, 25 times your desired salary, right? So, for example, if you want to make $200,000 a year, you're going to need about $5 million put away, because you take 4% of $5 million, that gets you $200,000. The interesting thing about that, Ian, is that's today. So if you're going to retire, right, 20 years from now, right, the future value of $5 million today could be closer to $7.5 million. Now, a lot of people get afraid of those numbers. I know you guys have shared these numbers, and people are like, oh, it doesn't take all that. Yeah, you could back out some money if Social Security is going to be there. You could back out some money if you have multifamily properties. You could back out some money if you have a pension, which are quickly going away. But the reality is we're going to need real money to retire. And so putting 25% of your income away is just the start. For these college grads, you could do it and not even feel it coming out of college. But when you talk to college grads, they're like, well, when I make more money, I'll save more money. But what happens when you make more money? You end up having more bills. And you're not able to put that kind of money away. You really need to put that kind of money away. It's a serious thing.
So I want to ask you a question about real estate, but before, can you just list, this is important. You said the degrees that people need to be getting now.
Yes.
Just reiterate that.
Right. I would reiterate it's analytics and data science, right? So that's the study of data and how to process and manage and understand data. I think anything related to healthcare, healthcare system, people are getting older. My dad is 94 years old on May 1st. On Friday, he turns 94 years old. He's in great health. He's still driving. So people are living longer, and healthcare workers are in great demand. Something that AI can't do. Construction management and working in construction. These are people that help manage the construction of buildings, whether or not they're homes or whether or not they are new office buildings. That's something that AI has a difficult time. And then real estate in general, in terms of real estate, property management or real estate ownership or, syndications along those lines. Those are just a few.
It's interesting you're talking about real estate, because I was actually just having this conversation with Troy the other day as far as now, I think at a certain point, the first thing you do is you got to figure out how you're going to make something out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like how you can scale that. Then you start to think about like, okay, like what's your children going to be? If your children's not an asset, it's going to be a liability.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, okay, what viable business opportunities can you provide for your children? The children might not be able to do exactly what you're doing. They might not have the same skill set. It might be a brand that's actually, forward facing. It's not, every business is not meant to be you just plug somebody else in.
Right.
So I was telling him like, yo, real estate might be the play because it's like, at least, you're always going to need real estate. If you get something up and running, it's time consuming.
Yep.
Idle time is a devil's workshop. Mm-hmm. It's time consuming. You give a kid, now this is a pathway for you. You're going to learn about real estate.
Yep.
Now you can, flip homes, do that. So from a legacy standpoint, that's something that's not talked about either, as far as like, that's something that's just a viable legacy passed down business that doesn't require any said skill set, or it doesn't require you to be a face of something, you to be famous. So let's go into real estate. You talked about multifamily home investing as opposed to single and family investing. Mm-hmm. Why is that important for people to learn early on?
Yeah, especially for young people coming up. When I came out of college, I bought a condo. If I was to do it all over again, I would buy myself a duplex, a threeplex, or a fourplex. I would rent out everything possible, including the spare bedroom in the apartment I lived in and lived rent free. It's important because now I'm not paying for my cost of living. Now I can save and invest more money. The other thing is that the valuation on multifamilies are higher than they are on single family homes, yet the requirement to buy a threeplex or duplex or fourplex are the same exact lending requirements for buying a single family home. So you get a ledge up. Now, if I would have did it all over again, I wouldn't have bought that condo, which I did well with. I would have bought a fourplex and would have rented everything out. I think it's so important. You talk about generational wealth and passing it on. That's exactly my game plan. It's like I built up enough real estate to support my lifestyle in retirement, which is really coming in a few years, like about 3 years and 7 months to be exact. So my sons that are in their 20s, I'm putting them in place now to manage my real estate. It's a perfect thing for them to learn. Like one has a degree in finance, the other one is in biology and analytics, and the other one was in marketing. So I'm getting them involved now to build as a team so they can take it actually further. And, another thing that I've kind of embraced was the salon studios industry, because I kind of like it better than residential business. I like it better than commercial office space. And I'm using kind of the McDonald's model where I actually buy the locations, repurpose them out for salon studios with high traffic visibility. And, my sons are going to continue to kind of build that out across the country. That's the game plan.
Said you've been doing this at a high level for a long time. So I want to talk about this idea, and I don't think I've gotten it yet because being in the market excites me every day.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Investor fatigue.
Oh,
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
How does one develop that? I'm not interested in developing it, but I want to know how one develops this.
But
and how do you overcome it?
I think it comes naturally. You guys have been investing for some time. There's a lot of people that follow you, and a smaller number of people that follow me, that when they jump into it, when they buy their first 4 unit, they get, they think like, oh, wow, I'm going to make all this money because I just did the numbers and my mortgage is this and my income is this. And as soon as they get in there, they find out that 2 tenants haven't been rented a year. You get what I mean? Or that a tenant stops paying. And all of a sudden, the bills and the expenses are coming and they've got to come out of their pocket and they got to deal with this. It's my experience that it takes about 5 to 7 years, especially in real estate, for those rents to stabilize, for the building to stabilize. There's like roof issues, there's foundation issues, issues with hot water heaters and heaters. It takes a while for them to stabilize. People get burned out because every dime they take in and some is going to basically keeping this property up and running until it smooths out. Like, I bought properties in Jersey City back in 2000, 2003. It took me a while for those things to stabilize. Now they're stable. In fact, they're actually paid for. At least 2 of them are paid for, clear and free. So there is this thing called fatigue. And then when it comes to investing in the stock market, if you were like us who got in early, I bought a whole lot of stock in 2007, 2008, when people are afraid of the market, right? So it rises 570%. And so I bought Facebook for $64 a share. It's like close to 700. I'm not worried about it dipping 10, 15, 20%. You get what I'm saying? So, but a lot of people came in 22, in 2020. And so it's kind of hovering. So they feel like they get tired of basically hoping, right? It's just that fatigue that it's not working the way that Troy and Ian And Rashad said it is. For some reason, my gains aren't there because I'm still new to it and I'm going to give up. I just think that as influencers, we have to find a way to keep them encouraged and inspired because, the real fruit comes from over the time, right? It doesn't come immediately.
Going to that, how do you keep the passion in, like, whenever we've talked, like, it's like beams of light because you're radiating from the happiness of the returns. Troy, Rashad, the same, myself. But if a person's in for the first year and they're like, well, I'm undecided, I don't want to hold for 5 years. How do I have fun? What do you say to them? How do you keep your joy for long periods of time, 5, 10 years at a time when you're waiting to hit this big end goal?
Yeah, it's all about mindset. When they go into it, they have to have the right mindset. They have to understand that it's going to take time for these assets to appreciate, time for you to catch these great markets. A lot of people, they've only seen a good market, right? Because from 2008 to 2026, the market's done nothing but rise. And this is just completely unrealistic, right? You get what I mean? So they don't understand that. And so, and that's why being tied to EYL and to people who give authentic, real information is so important because that's what keeps them encouraged because you guys can tell them that, hey, this is a lull. You got to ride through this. This is part of the process. You'll never get to the point where you get a 10 bagger or whatever if you don't hang in the market long enough, right? And then the other part for us as our community, we're still fairly new to this. So we're not experienced and we're not experienced to see how this experiment basically ends. But that's what having people like myself and other people that you guys bring on is so important so people can get a real live perspective of it.
Talk about HELOCs, security, backed loans. Like, I know that's part of your investment strategy as far as for real estate, but talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, these things are pretty powerful. I did use a HELOC when I first bought my Jersey City properties. I built a house in California when I was in my young 30s. I finished when I was 32. And the house, I sold it later for over $2 million. Cost me $622,000 to build. My dad managed the construction. I know you guys are building a house too, so it's a great experience. I took a HELOC out of that house because the value blew up, and that's why I bought my properties in Jersey City. And I always tell people, a home equity line of credit is not to be played with. If you take it out, it's got to be put on something that is going to win, right? You can't. Too many people, and too often in our community, you find people. They don't ever get their properties paid down because they take these loans out, but they're basically buying stuff that don't hold any value, right? So you've got to make sure you put it in good quality assets. I've known people who put them into their businesses and they've succeeded. Some put them into their businesses and they fail. You can never really know, but you've got to take that real serious. The security back line of credit I decided to use for my next Salon Studios project because the banks, I heard John O'Brien say this, the banks are the true gangsters, right? So, the bank, the loans and the fees and the gamesmanship and how they don't want to take any risks at all. Banks take almost no risks at all, meaning that they're always going to have it covered, right? I liken it to like playing chess. You never put your queen out there unless you got ways to go after their king or take their queen too. So, when I was going to 3 banks and one of them, which I actually deal with for my business, and I had lines of credits with them, they wanted to loan against my securities and wanted to offer me a 8% interest rate. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's right? 100%. Crazy. They didn't want to secure it against the property because they didn't want to do the construction loan. I went to another company that wanted to do a construction loan. They wanted to secure it against my office building, which I got like 4 more years and it's paid for. It's paid for in 2030. So they wanted me to take out a $2 million loan on my office building, of which I only owe like maybe a couple $100,000 on. I was like, I don't want to do that. I've worked hard to get this thing paid off. And they wanted to take a loan off an apartment building I have in DC, plus they wanted to take a loan out for about $8 million worth of property for a $5 million loan. I was like, why can't you take out just enough of a lien to cover the loan? And they wouldn't do that. And I rejected them. And I went to another bank that gave me better interest rates, better terms. They still wanted to take it out of my office building. They wanted to borrow against my securities. In the end, I just went to my Merrill Lynch broker and I basically said, hey, I'm going to take a securities back loan for this construction. And he says, okay, I love that. We could do that. We just implement a new program. And guess what your interest rates are going to be? 4.5% fixed, right? At the same time, 0 fees. At the same time, you can have this money in a week, right? So that's the process that I went through. The risk is...
And not to cut you off, because I think...
I'm sorry to go.
I want you to tell them the risk. But a lot of times, I think when we say stuff, people don't fully appreciate, like, it's not just like we're just saying random things. Like, we just talked about this 2 weeks ago. You are somebody that's actually implemented it and you're telling a real success story. So it's like the information that we're providing to people, don't take it for granted. Like this is somebody that's highly successful. That is a millionaire that's actually implemented the strategy that we just told you guys about 2 weeks ago. So tell them about the risk.
Yeah. So the risk is I'll be honest with you, they're kind of minimal, because what happens is this property that I purchased, I paid about $925,000 for the property, which it was worth already $2 million, and I had offers on it for $2 million. So the risk is, if for some reason the project fails or I don't complete it, they take the potential cash, but I can always sell the property to get my money back. And since the building 2 doors over, basically on a smaller piece of land, sold for $3.5 million, it increased the value of my property to $5 million without me doing one single thing to it, right? You know, you talk about you buy real estate, right? It was because it's a commercial piece of property, and the guy who bought the property 2 doors over wanted my property. He offered me $2 million for mine. I wasn't going to sell it, so he bought the property 2 doors over for $3.5 million, which happens to be a smaller piece of land. So it's somewhat risky, but it's not, because I already own the property. And so I would always, my cash is covered by the asset. So once I'm done with the construction project, I'm going to get a loan from a bank for that project based on its valuation and its appraisal value. And then I'm going to pay back my securities fund. But the beautiful thing is my securities are still invested. So professional managers are managing that account. And there's a possibility that if the market continues to run up, the amount of money they make is going to make that loan free.
Yeah, and look at
the amount of money that, real quick, Ian, because this is important for people to understand. I encourage everybody to actually just do this, even if you're not taking any money out. Because once you open it, and then they'll say, okay, this is how much money you have available. Right. You don't have to take it.
Exactly.
And then as your stock portfolio goes up, the amount of money that you can take automatically goes up.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Like you said, it only takes a week, but sometimes a deal comes to you and you need money right away.
Oh, yeah.
So just have this open. Because why not? Why not? It's just another option available to you. You don't take every single dollar. Like, you take, because if the market drops, then the amount of money that you could take drops too. But like you said, I mean, if done correctly, there's really no downside to it.
There's no downside. The interesting thing is it costs you nothing. You follow me? It's like, even if you got a home line of credit, they're going to want fees, bank fees, and the like. This costs you nothing, right? They will make that money available to you. And so people may wonder, well, how can they do it? And why is this are they able to do it? It's because they're securing it across cold cash. You follow me? It's like, that's the most secure kind of loan that the bank can take. If they take a loan off of your property, your house, they got to sell it and hope they get the right value in the right market in order to pay themselves back. Right here, they're taking a loan off cash that they're holding and they've got invested themselves. So it's the most secure loan for the bank. And that's why the interest rates are the lowest. So they're giving me a 4.5% fixed loan for 3 years. Well, my construction period is 18 months. It's like 12 months to 18 months. It's perfect for construction loans. It's perfect for even flipping properties because it's a short-term situation. Because trust me, I've been a hard money lender, and I'm a real hard money lender. I got 3% B plus I take out 12%, annualized, and I'm only going to loan on loan to value of like 60% loan to value, right? So, and I'm not giving money for fixing up. I'm only giving you base money, so it's way cheaper than hard money loans, but it's very similar in a lot of ways.
And I was just going to say, versus they wanted to cross collateralize a bunch of assets.
Yes.
Like, so to put the business up and then the building, it's not only the risk, but then the fee assessment that the bank is going to be predatory in a bunch of different ways.
Yep.
And that's why I say I love that you guys had brought it up last week or 2 weeks ago. Look how much less risk he faces, even if something goes wrong. Exactly. Now they can't tie up all your properties at the same time.
About that. Now, the new loan, Ian, to your point, is tying up 0 properties. No properties are tied up, right? And I'm kind of like an old school kind of thinker, so I like to pay stuff off. And my office building is almost paid for right now. And I'm like, I want the thing to be paid for in the 25-year period of time that I got it. So when I'm all done in the next 4 years, I'm only going to have one loan. And so all my other properties, the profit from my other properties can service my new loan in the event that I get into trouble. I like to balance my risk. I don't like to be over my skis, so to speak. So, and you're absolutely right. Collateralizing those properties, all the fees, they wanted like about $69,000 in bank fees. One bank did. The other bank wanted $40,000 in bank fees just to do the loan.
That's crazy.
Just to do the loan. They wanted like a 1.5 right up front, origination fee, and then they wanted to take out, fees for all the legal work they got to do in order to put liens on your property. So that's another way to incentivize you to build up your portfolio, keep that money going. I mean, put that money to work. Yeah, I don't sell my stock, man. I just keep buying, right? I just want that portfolio to continue to grow so that I can get a loan off of it if I need to.
So we last week we visited NVIDIA, and we watched a gentleman create an agent that helped him in the process of acquiring real estate. Obviously, you coming from a tech background, I wonder how much AI is being used from your part to source, new opportunities for the portfolio, figuring out the demographics of things that you're looking for, distressed property. How much AI is being incorporated in that search process?
Right now, it hasn't been much, to be honest with you. But there are, I heard from your guy, I met Caleb Silver thanks to you guys, and he and I have become friends. Mm-hmm. There are conferences that are just designed around AI and the whole investment community. He's shared that with me. I don't have the name. You guys could probably look it up or find out from him. So that is going to be the future. I mean, just think about it. AI could do research better than any human can, or anybody at Merrill Lynch can potentially do. So, and a lot of times, a lot of their decisions on what stocks to buy has a lot to do with historical performance based on different environments. It also has to do with an assessment of their management team. I mean, AI is going to change the space of investing like you wouldn't believe. It's just going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Tell us what you love most about the salon suite model. I see a lot of people switching to that model, but what caught your interest in it, and what benefits does it have over just doing purely commercial real estate?
I love it.
Old fashioned.
That's a great question. Like, if you look at the traditional model, I mean, I think it's the gift that keeps giving, because if you look at the traditional model of doing salon suites, people will rent a space, and they'll typically rent a space for about $36 to $48 a square foot a year. So that's basically about $3 to $4 a square foot a month, right? And so they'll rent it, and then they'll basically put money into it to develop the property, which can be pretty expensive. Like, for example, Sola will put probably about $1 million to $1.5 million into building out somebody else's space. So the beautiful part is that when they lease it out to these young ladies and young men at $270 a week, what they're actually getting is about $1,300 a square foot, $1,300 a month on a 10 by 10 piece of property, right? When you figure that out, you're getting about $120 a square foot. So I'm renting out a piece of property for $36 to $48 a square foot, and I'm selling it for $120 a square foot, right? That difference is their margin, right? So minus the cost of utilities and the whole 9 yards. I mean, you can't make those kind of returns on real estate often. I mean, to be honest with you, it's even better than public storage, because if you look at a 10 by 10 piece of public storage, or 10 by 20, what are you paying? You're paying $300 a month, for public storage of 10 by 20, right? So on a 10 by 10 salon suite, you're paying $1,200 or $1,300 a month. It's just amazing. And at the same time, these ladies can make, after 2 or 3 clients, they can cover their rent. So it's a great thing. The other piece I like about it is that the target market is very narrow, meaning like they're all stylists or barbers or estheticians. They're all on social media. So, and they're all usually about a 6-mile radius from your location. So you guys know how you could do targeted ads. You could target ads to people in that industry and get directly to your target market, making them aware of what you have to offer. I think it's a great business model. So what we decided to do is that I've already bought a series of properties in high traffic areas because I want my brand to be, visible. And I'm flipping medical office buildings. I bought a $1 million medical office building, 7,000 square feet, turning it into 35 salon studios down in Florida. So I bought some other out parcel lots in strip malls that I'm building out, high traffic count. So it's amazing. And I think it's a great return on investment. I like owning them because it's exactly the McDonald's model. It's really about the real estate. It's not about really the hair industry.
That's brilliant.
Can you talk about the Freedom Fund? Like, what's that?
Yeah, well, I call it Freedom Fund. This is something I talk about in my book. It's your freedom fund, because as you build it up, it buys your freedom. So I think that your freedom fund is a combination of your 401k. It's a combination of your after-tax investment accounts, whether it's a Roth or just a regular after-tax account. And I think that we all should be working on our freedom fund, building that number up to about 25 times what our desired salary is.
No, I appreciate it, my brother. Well, Cedric, man, it's always an honor and a pleasure when you come on. So much information. Please tell the people how to follow you on social media. Tell them about the book. Tell them about anything that you got going on, please.
Okay, yeah. You can follow me at Millionaire Money Moves. I'm sorry, let me say that again. You can follow me at Millionaire Money Moves. My book is Why Should White Guys Have All the Wealth? And I got the Black Wealth Summit coming up. I'm bringing some of the folks that have already graced the stage of InvestFest. So I got John O'Brien coming. I got Dr. Diane Bryant coming. I got Dr. Jamal Bryant. This is going to be the Bryant show. It happens May 1st, May 2nd. We got a free job fair for people who've been displaced, sponsored by HBCU Connect. So come on out. Come if you've been displaced. We got about 50 employers that are coming out there to come see you and displace some of their jobs that we have available. And we're going to talk about everything money.
I have one more question for you before you leave.
Uh-huh.
At what point in your wealth journey do you spend on a liability and turn it into an asset? So I know you have the boat, right? Mm-hmm. Traditionally, most people will look at that as a liability, but you have an interesting model for how you do that. Can you walk us through some of the costs of owning a boat, but also how you monetize that as well? Because I think you've done a great job at that.
Yeah, I can do that. But like I said, another recent podcast is owning a boat is the worst investment you could ever have. It's the worst. But I love it, right? Because I say, the worst day on the water is better than the best day at work, right? Because it's so relaxing.
True indeed.
But let me tell you, it's the worst investment because if you were to graph it, it's like you got an investment that's going down in value, right? Constantly. Every year, the value of a boat goes down. Every year. Plus, 10% of the cost of that boat is used that you have to pay in addition for maintenance. So now the curve just goes even further down. And the maintenance are, you've got to store the boat. So most people pay a dock fee. That dock fee could be anywhere from about $3,000 to $5,000 a month just to store it in somebody's location. Then you basically have to paint the bottom of the boat. Every year you take the boat out of the water. They got to sand it, clean it off, and paint the bottom of the boat so they can maintain the integrity of the boat. You have to do that. Then you have a person washing your boat. I got a person who washes my boat twice a week. Then you got a person who washes the boat on the inside. Then you've got to get annual engine maintenance done to your boat. That's about 10 grand. And my boat's just a 60 footer. I mean, if it was like 100 footer or more, it's like that much more. So I got 10 grand a year that I have to pay in maintenance just to maintain the engine. Then I've got to cover the cost of maintaining the generator. Then I've got this thing called the Seakeeper that keeps the boat unkilled when you're going fast. That has to be maintained. Then you got your air conditioning that has to be maintained. It's constant, and you got to get it detailed, like about $7,000 or $8,000. You have to get it detailed twice a year. Then you got to deal with the teak. It's a constant money pit, and I just think that it's not for the faint of heart. I do basically charter my boat, and the charters basically help balance some of those costs depending on how often you do it. And my charter fees are a little on the high side because I usually want quality people on the boat, not to damage it. And I bought it; it was only a year old, so I can. But the beautiful part is, and what you're talking about, Ian, is the write-off, because the boat. You can get it does qualify for a 179 tax code 179 deduction as an equipment purchase. So if you create and put the boat into an LLC, like I created an LLC called Nash Yacht Charter, so my boat is owned by that charter company, I can take advantage of the 179 tax code, which makes it an equipment purchase, like if you bought a car over 6,000 pounds. The beautiful thing about it is every year the amount of deduction goes up. So if you buy a boat over $2 million, you can get $1 million deduction year one from that boat. And at the same time, you could write off all of your expenses. So really what kind of happens is, I almost paid about half for my boat because the amount of money I paid for it, I got a deduction for the other half. So there are some real opportunities in owning it.
Yeah.
Whole lot of game.
Good to know.
All right, my brother. It's been real. We'll see you soon, man.
I appreciate you, my brother.
All right. There you have it.
Yeah, one of my favorite people on earth, too. Yeah, a lot of game.
Whole lot of game.
Yeah, that's an experienced seasoned vet right there.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been educational.
You got to tuck the money away, man. Put 25 to 50% away. I know it's tough, but then on a second half of life and when you're getting 1,000% returns here and there, becoming a millionaire, life is good. I promise you. Life is good.
Could be worse. Mm-hmm. All right, Blackout. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about on Blackout. It's going to be a very spicy episode. Mm-hmm. Thursday, we got the educational episode when it comes to running a school, differences between private school and charter school and home school and public school. And man, so much information when it comes to education and entrepreneurship as well. So tune in Wednesday, 9:00, Thursday at 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And get your tickets to InvestFest.
Amen.
Absolutely. Stock Club Call Replay will be out after this show. Love y'all. Get your tickets to Red Panda. Don't wait till the last minute. Get your tickets to InvestFest immediately.
And just know a lot of people, we ain't named the names yet, but a lot of people that you see highlighted that's been legendary conversation so far, We'll be at InvestFest.
There's a correlation there.
Connect the dots. All right, y'all. It's been real.
Peace. Love is love.
Peace.